Alright, welcome to today's tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you guys how you can start coding with C#. Now this is a full-on beginner tutorial. This is for people that are literally just starting out as programmers and they're out of curiosity, or they're students and you want to be ahead of the class. You are at the perfect spot. So let's just dive straight into this. So before we start coding and everything, what we want to do is install Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a program used for coding. You have a lot of programs, but the biggest one is Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. But we're not going to get into that. In this video, we're just going to be working with Visual Studio 2019. So I will put this link in the description. So once you go on here, now Visual Studio does have a 2022 version. I wouldn't recommend using it. I would say just pick 2019. Just to be safe. Okay, so first things first, we scroll down until we see 2019. We click on that. Then we get an option of download. We click on download. Then we go into a new page. There we go. And what we want to download is this version right over here, the Visual Studio Community 2019. Make sure that you are not downloading the professional one, because this is with the key required. This is no key required. Okay, so you download this, and I mean it's pretty simple. Just next, yes, accept. You know how it goes until you come to this section. So after you choose your location to install, yada yada yada, then you get this section right over here. The most important thing is that you want to check this box right over here, which says .NET Desktop Development Console Application using C#. If you guys want, you can copy every single thing that I did, or every single section that I checked, but make sure that this is selected. Very, very important. You can also select this if you want to. It's just, for the future, but keep in mind that if you are going to copy me, it's going to take a lot more space. This is about 10 gigs. So let's just say you installed, everything is working beautifully, it closed out. And let's just dive straight into this. So we go into the bottom left search bar and we search up Visual Studio. And there it is. We just click on that. Then we open up our app, and I already made let me just remove this. So this is what you are gonna get right over here. Yours will be empty, don't even worry about that. On the right here we have a couple of options. We can create a new project, which is what we're going to choose. You can open a local folder, open a project that has already been worked on, or stuff like that, and we can clone a repository. We're not going to get into that right now. The most important thing is that we're going to select create a new project. Once we click on that, we go into the next page or section, and if you select C#, now if you have all languages, it's still on the top. So you can come down here and we can click on C#. And then the first option that we get is a console application. We are going to double click on this because this is what we're going to be using in this tutorial. Now right over here, you can name it whatever that you want. I'm just going to call it tutorial. Like that. Right here you have a choice on where you want to put it. I'm going to put it in my documents folder, select the map, and then click on next. Make sure that you are using the 3.1 version, not the 5.0 or above that. Just use the 3.1 version. It's for the best. So we click on create, and it is obviously going to create our project. So yours will be probably like this. Yep. Welcome to Visual Studio. This is what you're going to be using in order to write code. I'm gonna go over the simple things. Don't even worry about what is already put in place. We're gonna get into that in just a second. The first thing that we want to show you guys is that this program can already do something. It's pretty simple, but it can do something, And what can this thing do? Well, we're gonna find out by clicking on this little play button. Once I click on that, a console should pop up. There we go. And we get a message, hello. world. I'm gonna teach you guys how to do that, okay? We're gonna start off pretty simple. We're gonna close this. By the way, if you guys wanna zoom in and out like this, what you wanna do is hold down Control and with your scroll wheel, just move in and out. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna zoom it in like this. So we already have a line of code over here that is automatically put in its place by Visual Studio. What we want to do, I'm actually going to explain what this does, because when we run the program, we saw that we got a text saying hello world. And that is exactly what this line of code does. It says, okay, open up the console, write me a line named hello world and showcase that. Pretty simple. But let's start off from the beginning. So let's remove this. And we're going to start off from 0. So uppercase C, because this is uppercase sensitive, we click on, or we get the option of console. So we want to start up our console. And now the program is asking for more, because we can see it has been red underlined. So in order to get options, that is what I like to call it, options from the console, we use a dot. Once we click on dot, we get a lot of options here. This is all of the options that this console can do. Now for this tutorial, for this section, we are going to be using write line, not write line. You can use this shortcut if you want. It should be automatically installed. Voila. And then, as you can see, we still have a little red underline because the program is not ended correctly or finished correctly. We are gonna use brackets. Boom, like that. And to actually stop the code, or actually let me just put it in here. Okay, so inside of these brackets, we want to showcase a word. Now, I want to use the word when I'm coding. When I am coding, I like to use, or actually, I don't like to use it. It's just standard. We call it strings. String is equal to a text. So whenever you hear me say string, this should be automatically, guys. Just something that you must know about. Okay. So when I say string, I mean a block of text. Okay. How can we specify a block of text? Because we cannot say hello world. It's not going to work. The program doesn't know what you're trying to do. You just put down some letters and that's it. It's already complaining. So let me remove this. In order to say to this program, okay, I want you to showcase a block of text, we're going to be using quotations, double quotations. This is used for strings, for text. And in here, we can say whatever we want. We can say, hey, YouTube, this is the best tutorial. And then once you've done that, and we can actually, with the arrows on our keyboard, we can move, or you can just click it, whatever you feel most comfortable with. We're going to end the program. And we're going to do that using a semicolon. This one right over here. What I like to call this is like a brick wall. You know, when we stop our code, when we don't want our code to continue, we want to put our semicolon. Because if we don't, we're just going to get an error. Or yeah, we get this red line. We want that to stop. Semicolon. Perfect. It is done. Voilà. Then we will run the program again. And we can see that we have, hey YouTube, this is the best tutorial. We can close that. Congratulations, you have just wrote down your first ever line of code. Like I said, we said console open, write a line called, hey YouTube, this is the best tutorial, and showcase it. That is it. Now I'm actually going to remove the text like that. Go up here. Oh, by the way, I actually forgot to mention that. Make sure that you are in between these curly brackets, okay? Forgot to say that. Make sure that you are within these curly brackets. If you're not, you're gonna have errors and problems. So make sure that you're in those brackets. Anyways, I want to press on enter just a couple of times to make some space. Now we're gonna get into what are variables. Variables are like bread and butter of programming. Without variables, I mean, yeah, you can write some line of code, but at the end of the day, you need them 100%, and you're gonna use them forever. Like, that is just standard, you know. But anyways, what are variables? You have lots of variable types. So we can store text, what we just saw. We can store text, but we can also store numbers. Let me show you how to actually store a number. Or actually, let's, in this console.write line, right over here, we want to showcase a number. Now to showcase a number, we don't need those curly brackets because they are, these quotations. This is not used to showcase a number. To showcase a number, you just have to put the number down. So if I put down 134, run it again, we should get the number 134. Yep, perfect. Let me actually remove that. But let's just say we want to store that 134 into a variable. And that is what variables actually are. They are pretty much, how should I say this? You can assign anything to a variable, a number, a text block, anything you want. It will make more sense when I actually do it. Let's just say that we have a person, or we want to store someone's name. I don't know. Let's just store a name. How do we do that? Like I said, in programming, when we want to store or we want to use a block of text, we call it string. Variables, now we're going to create a variable. We're already doing it, but we just specify the data type, okay? Now we can call this variable whatever we want. You can put in here whatever you want, okay? But try to make this as clean and as understandable as possible, okay? I see a lot of beginner programmers use a single word and that's it. Like, it's just not going to work. Just use something simple so that when you have lots of lines of code, then you still know, okay, if I use this variable, I know what it's gonna be, you know? When you put in string A, it's gonna be like, but what is string A? Let me go back up, search it up, and then go back down. You know, it's not how it's supposed to be. Like I said, we want to store someone's name. What are we gonna call this variable? Well, we're gonna call it name. So name, and then we want to set it equal to a string or a text block, right? Like I said, yet again, when we store or work with text, you want to use double quotations. Now right here, we're going to store someone's name. We're just going to say John. We're going to store a name called John. And yet again, to close off the program, we're going to be using semicolon. Okay, so what did we do? We created a variable. Look at this. It already says, it says local variable. It is a string, which is a text, and we call it name. That is it. That's absolutely it. So whenever we call this variable name, wherever in the program, it is gonna print out or use John as text. Okay? So in order to demonstrate this, I'm actually gonna show you guys how to do it inside of this console.write line. Because what we did was this, right? And then John. This is gonna work 100%. But how can we use this variable instead of this section of text? Well, it's pretty simple. We're just gonna say name, because this variable name is set to John, which is a text. So if I put down name and then press on play, we should get John. There we go. We have John printed out. So that is how you store a text to a variable. Let's just say that we want Mr. John's age. We want to know how old he is, right? Okay, so in order to store a number, there are 3 variable types that you can use, but we are going to use the most simple one, and it is called an integer or an int. An integer is basically a number. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? Yet again, we're creating a new variable, right? And what we want to or what we want to store is his age. So what are we going to call this variable? Well, we're going to call it age. And now we're going to set it equal to, well, how old he is. And like I said, do not use this because this is a text. You can see that Visual Studio is already complaining. It's saying, bro, you want to store an int and you're using double quotations for a text. That's not going to work. So like I said, so age, I'm just going to say he's 30 years old. And yet again, cap it off with our semicolon. Okay, how can we now, well, actually, instead of name, let's just say age. Now we're gonna see John's age. There we go. It's printed 30, so his age. But it doesn't, I mean, the way it printed, I don't like that. It's just plain number. You know, we want to make it more beautiful. Let's just say it like that. We want to say, or we want to welcome John by his name and then his age. How do we do that? So what we're going to do is, again, use these variables. We're going to say name, and then to include his age, because we cannot say age, it's going to complain. We are going to use, because we add something next to it, I should say, we're going to use the plus sign, plus his age. What that is going to do is it's going to showcase the name and then his age. So if I, yet again, do it, we get John 30. Obviously, it's literally like pasted together, but don't even worry about that. But like I said, it doesn't showcase it nice. We know how to showcase his name and his age, but it doesn't look good. You know, it's like cramped up together. It's looking weird. You want to introduce John properly or formally. How do we do that? Well, what we can do is behind this name, actually space, and I go back, we're going to add a block of text. This doesn't need, not everything, guys, needs to be a variable, okay? Because right now we're just going to introduce him, okay? We're probably not going to use this text anywhere else, but let's just say that later down the line we want to use John again. We can call him by, or the variable name. So we are going to add double quotations. I'm going to say hi, my name is, and then his name. But we can see it's already complaining. But yet again, we gotta use the plus sign because we add this next to each other, okay? Like that. So what we get right now is, hi, my name is, and then we get his name. And in between this, I'm gonna press on space, and yet again, double quotations, and we're gonna say, and I am this year's old, you know, and then his showcases age. We get a error because after this name we didn't put the plus sign, and Visual Studio doesn't know what you're trying to do, so we're going to add the plus sign and it should disappear. Okay, so what did we do? We said hi, my name is, and then we used the variable called name, which is equals to John, and then we said, and I am his age, and then his age is equals to the number 30. So if I run this program now, we should get a decent announcement. Okay, there we go. We got, hi, my name is John, and I am 30. But it's cramped up together. How do we open up the space a little bit? Well, it's pretty simple. We just go back in here, press space once, and in here as well, press space once. And now everything should be apart. Or it should be like nicely aligned. Yeah, there we go. Look at this. Hi, my name is John. Nice little space. That was the space that we just used. And I am 30, and I'm 30. Or you can say I'm 30 years old, and then add the text behind this. Okay, that is pretty simple. This is how you work with variables. Now you have a lot of variables, guys. The biggest three are strings. So in order to store text, and an integer. and an integer is to store a number. There is the third one, which I'm going to get into right now. We call this a Boolean. So a bool. What is a Boolean? A Boolean has two options. It is either true or it is false. There's a Boolean is literally just, is it true, is it false? You cannot add anything else to it. Okay? So we want to check if John is married, right? Let's check if John is married. And if he is married, we're gonna set that to true because he is married. And if he is not married, we're gonna set it to false so that we know that he is not married. So, by the way, to actually, this should be a habit of everyone. In order to, how should I say this? Notice Booleans from strings and ints. You want to always begin with is and then name whatever you want your variable to be called. A Boolean is still a variable, guys. Don't get it twisted, okay? It's still a variable. We're still working with variables. It's just simple as that, okay? You can say is age, is something, is this, is, but use this is as knowledge of, okay, I'm working with a Boolean over here, okay? But like I said, it's completely up to you. You can name this whatever you want. I'm just giving you guys a little tip. So we want to say is married. And then we want to set that equals to either false, and I close it off with semicolon, or true. There we go. That is everything that it is. It is either false or it is true. You cannot put numbers in here. It will complain. Look, we got a thing. You cannot put something else in here. It's going to complain. It just needs to be, is it true or is it false? In this case, it's solely up to you. We're going to say John is married. Let's actually create a new line of code. We're just going to say console.writeLine brackets. And then we're going to say, let me say marriage status. Marriage status, yeah, let's just say marriage status is yet again just a plus sign, because we're gonna add this is married to here, and now we're just gonna say is married, like that. Yet again, cap it off with the semicolon, and to just make it more attractive, just gonna add a little space like that. This should say, okay, hi, my name is John and I am 30, and then it's underneath that, it's gonna say his marriage status. Or actually, that's actually better. His marriage status is, and this is gonna be either true or false. Now, obviously we set it to true, so we should see true pop up. So if we run this program now, we can see that, hi, my name is John, I'm 30, and then his marriage status is true. So actually, did it work? Okay, there we go. To make this like more noticeable, you could do something like this, marriage status is true, and you can say has pet, he has no pets, likes lasagna, false, he doesn't like lasagna, it's stuff like that. So these are the big three variables that are used whenever that you're coding. There are a lot more, but we're going to get into that in the next video. So if you guys enjoyed so far and you want to see me continue making these series, be sure to let me know by dropping a like on the video, subscribe, and leave a nice comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.